Okay, you're live.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the Planning Commission meeting in the town of Haymarket for tonight, January 14th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Young, Singla,
Here.
Gonzalez,
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Thank you. Let's stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Gonzalez, I would like to add 2 items to the current agenda. First off, Mr. Young is on his way. He'll be here in about 5 minutes. I would like to add oath of office and appointment of chair and vice chair to the agenda.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and amend the agenda as noted.
I would like to invite Dave Capasella up to the podium here. Last night at the town council meeting, the town council voted unanimously to appoint Mr. Capasella to your planning commission. He's taking the vacated seat of Justin Baker, who was elected on council. So his term will expire June 30th of 2028. Okay, Mr. Capasella, I need you to raise your right hand for me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as a member of the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission,
as a member of the Town of Haymarket Planning Commission,
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
And I
you.
just need your signature.
Ugh.
And Mayor Pater's here to give you a little bit of a
Let me
welcome.
get my pen.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate
very
it.
much. And this is just a little certificate.
Oh, look at that.
All right, there you go.
Thank you, appreciate it.
you.
And you can take your seat up there right beside Mr. Baker.
Okay.
And we'll carry you. Well, I'm gonna have you come over here by Yogi. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, of course, the second item. Last night, Town Council, of course, appointed a new liaison to the Planning Commissioner, Councilmember Justin Baker. And he was appointed, of course, as the liaison, and that being Councilmember Biani is no longer the liaison. Since Councilmember Biani was the chair, we would need to appoint a new chair at this time. So at this point, do I have any nominations?
I nominate Jerome Gonzalez.
And do I have a second?
I have a second.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close the nominations?
I move the motion to close the nomination.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Now, do I have a motion to appoint Jerome Gonzalez as the chair?
I make the motion to appoint Jerome Gonzalez as the chair.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much. With that being said, now there is a vacancy within the vice chair. So do I have any nominations to appoint a new vice chair to the Planning Commission? And at this point, I will nominate Justin Baker to be vice chair. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close the nominations?
I move the motion to close the nomination.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None? Do I have a motion to appoint Justin Baker as vice chair on the planning commission?
I move the motion to have Justin Baker as vice chair.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Here we go.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Continuing on now to our agenda item. Are there any citizens wishing to address the planning commission this evening that does not have a current application? Hearing none, we'll continue on to the next agenda item, which is the minute approval. Are there any minutes or any edits to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes for the meeting on December 10th, 2024 as accepted?
I move the motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are accepted.
Thank you.
Now, continuing on with the agenda item, we go to the agenda item number 5, which is the consideration of SUP number 2024-002, Religious Assembly at 14600 Washington Street. Thomas, will you please give us an update?
Yes. So just as a follow-up on the previous meeting, the Haymarket Islamic Center wishes to operate one of the tenant spaces at the QBE building at 14600 Washington Street as a place of religious assembly to hold prayer services and also Ramadan celebrations. Their discussion when presented at the public hearing that was held for this agenda or SUP application, discussion was mostly revolving around occupancy for the tenant spaces around QBE, parking-related concerns and discussion, traffic-related discussion, and also fire safety for some of the fire lanes, those kinds of things. I'll give some brief updates. I've spoken subsequently between meetings with the police chief and also with the landlord of QBE to discuss these items as well. I'll start with fire safety. In terms of what is planned right now, all fire lanes will be respected when it came to parking on site. I did double check in the zoning ordinance, and this was with the discussion with the landlord as well. I checked first section 46.82 about parking prohibitions in the zoning ordinance when it came to if the impervious surface on site isn't used, what can be used. There were no items in that part of the zoning ordinance that spoke against parking slightly off the impervious surface, maybe on the grass, that kind of thing. Additionally, I also checked Article 7 about minimum off-street parking and loading. The closest thing I found related to what we're talking about, Section 58-7.1, minimum off-street parking and loading, item or Part B within that section. Every parcel of land used as a public parking area and motor vehicle ways shall be surfaced with all-weather surfaces, excluding gravel surfaces. I viewed that more as the entire parcel being considered rather than a parking lot adjacent to a building or structure. So that is my interpretation of it, meaning in the situations where parking on grass may take place, it would not be an issue regarding overparking, not overparking of the site, but additional parking in case there was a high volume of traffic on site. Additionally, I wanted to talk about, we brought up occupancy. Based on Virginia Building Code, this most likely would fall under religious education and under Group A3 occupancy. It would, if it has occupant loads of less than 100 individuals, and per our requirements as well for parking, 1 per 4 seats for religious assembly. When I spoke with the landlord, we projected 100 to 120 to be used at this area, depending on what's granted via occupancy. Additionally, I spoke with the police chief. I printed out additional correspondence, email correspondence I have with the chief that I've emailed over to you. Essentially saying, aside from some of the larger services, there's no concerns with parking, and there would be, any concerns would be pretty minimal and more an interior issue, and would not be a threat to the safety of any of the other tenants on site or other businesses. Landlord also spoke as well to the chief regarding if an officer could be used to help facilitate traffic during some of the larger services. If an officer is present, which is also in the emails that you have printed out for you, if an officer is present, they can also aid with that, or an outside agency such as Prince William Police can help with that as well. With those updates, I'm still recommending approval of this application with the conditions of providing occupancy, as has been done before with the previous religious assembly SCP. I'd like to invite the applicant now to present any additional follow-up and then open it to the planning commission for any follow-up questions on this item.
In the last discussion, I was asked to give some time estimates for Amazon, and for that I have estimated sometimes on when the pairs will start and when it will end exactly on the first date of Ramadan. After that, things will keep on moving a minute or two here and there. So I have right over here. I think I'm going to hand it over there. So anyone who wants.
Okay, thank you for providing. Just a small question from our discussion from last time till now. I don't think it's a major deal, of course, but the Fajr, the first prayer, you have listed saying 6 a.m. to 6:20 a.m. I know in our discussions last meeting, that could be as early as 4 in the morning at times. Is that still a
Yes,
correct understanding?
that changes with the when sun is rising. So it's usually about 60 minutes before sunrise. Apparently, just that will change. But the discussion went around the Ramadan, so I'm mentioning that over there. But in summers, yes, it can go back as early as 4:30ish.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for the prayer name and the times. Is that just for my familiarization? Is this like a Monday, Tuesday, or is this just the prayer day? It's not like
the first 5 prayers are every day.
okay,
So they happen every day, all 5 days. Whereas there's one Friday service that only happen on Fridays
okay,
in the afternoon. Whereas in Ramadan, that's a 30 days long period. Over there, the regular 5-day prayers will continue. But in addition to it, with the last prayer is extended. And instead of 30 minutes, that goes about 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm new, so I'm learning this stuff.
Mhm.
The third prayer listed on here, it says from 4:30 PM to 4:15 PM. I'm assuming that needs to be flipped, 4:15 to 4:30.
You got this one right.
I just want to make sure.
No, absolutely.
And Ramadan is going to be twice a year?
Once a year.
Once a
It's
year. which-
this year is going to start on March 1st.
Okay.
So every year it goes back about 10 days. So next year is going to be
Is it-
starting around February 20th.
Were there any other questions for the applicant or Thomas this time? Any, okay, I just had a couple clarifying questions, Thomas, on your speech, and of course, thank you again. You had mentioned on the surface of the parking, just so I can understand it correctly, there wouldn't be any issue, certainly to have the parking on a concrete hard surface, there wouldn't be any issue otherwise if it's on the impervious surface. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it wouldn't violate anything with ADA or anything like that,
Mhm.
any kind of issues therein? Okay, is that clear?
Additionally, to clarify that as well, going off of packet page 15 with the parking tabulation that was provided by the landlord, it turns into some spaces, most of the spaces we counted are marked, some that are counted for are unmarked, but if it's impervious surface and the aisle width is still there, in my mind and in our discussion, we count that as available parking, even if it's not necessarily tabulated in that moment. And given this is a tenant space as well, we're not doing a complete site plan overhaul either on this, in my mind, which doesn't necessitate any further tabulation.
Right, and on that topic of tabulation, I'd looked, before our last meeting to double check there. I went again more recently, since the snow has fallen. It's a little hard sometimes to tell the different marked spaces. I do know as well, though, that certain those areas are marked either as fire lane or no parking for the dumpster. Is this tabulation reflecting parking in those areas as well?
There are some, at least the dumpster in that section, the reduction of which, though, I don't think would be an issue in terms of what needs to be parked for disassembly along with other tenant spaces. But yes, some have to be removed or subtracted from the total. But I don't think it's a significant amount.
Yes, certainly it would seem, and again, looking at this tabulation, I mean, my initial counts were lower, but when I looked again, it was closer to this number. I still think there's some discrepancy, but it's not a significant amount. And of course, you have the possibility of parking on that unpaved surface in the front there for overflow. I think that should suffice on that front. And then, as you had mentioned earlier as well, Thomas, about there would be, again, a police type presence if needed, either from our town or the county's force. And there, that could be, if that's what would need to occur, then that there'd be a space for that, kind of a condition therein. Or is that condition listed anywhere currently?
It currently isn't listed. My thought would be it could be as an as-needed basis if we find it to be too overwhelming in some cases, depending on the prayer type or prayer schedule or the celebration schedule, then we can look into requesting aid. But it's a simple message to our police chief. I don't think it necessitates a condition within the approval. So the only condition I'd still recommend would just be occupancy related, as was presented to us with the previous SUP for religious assembly.
Since we are getting closer to like 85 to 90% of parking occupancy, do we need a marking of the parking spaces?
I didn't see marking as a requirement when I went over the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
If it's helpful, it sounds like it may be more of a private issue than a recommendation on my end, yes.
Got you. Okay. Thank you.
Quick question regarding traffic flow. That's a one-way in there that nobody follows. What are thoughts on trying to enhance people's visibility to see that it's one way?
As
I
when it
could see
comes
it being,
to-
I could see with prayers during Ramadan, there's gonna be a lot of people in there, and I could see that really becoming a mess there.
Mhm. My thought is there are available temporary signage options that we could discuss with the landlord and the applicant as well when those big events come up, that we could then have them displayed near the Washington Street frontage. Additionally, with previous SUPs, we've asked for signage plans to be presented for the site, that kind of thing. Perhaps that could be of use in this particular case.
This is a question mostly for the applicant. Just on one of the prayer days, Juham, am I saying that right? It's expected attendance 100 to 125. And with the time, do you have any plans kind of going forward, if it overlaps, because it looks like there's like a 15-minute kind of window there until your next prayer at 2:30. So people are coming out, so more people are coming in. So is there any kind of, do you have something set in plan to kind of get everybody going the right way and just making sure it's, everybody's safe? I'm probably thinking there's kids there and, families. So, and like my councilman said, it's a one-way street. So is there like any details or stuff that you can give us to show that you guys can, if there is a period of time that it does get congested, how will that kind of free up?
I'm glad you asked that. Pretty much in all the places where Juma prayer happens in Muslim religious places, what they are voluntary parking attendants who help people guide through the way, where help with the parking as well as help them come in and out. So things are happening in an orderly manner. Having said that, the 15 minutes overlap is what we are thinking initially would suffice. If need be, we can increase that overlap to reduce and give more cushion in between and expand that to 30 minutes between two prayers in case that helps with the flow of the traffic of people going out and coming in.
Okay, sounds like you guys got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one other thing I think that was kind of brought to my attention here, certainly the required parking is listed as tabulation as 30 spaces. The expected vehicles in the Juma prayer we were just discussing, 60 to 90 vehicles. Certainly there's the requirement and how it actually be utilized, and it seems that that kind of overflow space that's unpaved and not marked in this tabulation could cover that difference there. And I don't know if any other commissioners had any thoughts on that aspect.
I have a question on, is there a limit on number of people that can gather in 2,200 square feet maximum occupancy?
I would still need to look into the particular occupancy standards in the code, but
Mhm.
the ones I was looking at for building code group A3, it'd be less than 100.
100? Okay. And the parking calculation of 185 does not include unpaved surface,
Does not, this is all
paved.
impervious surface, yes.
Okay.
If there are no other questions no other questions, I believe I did not provide a draft motion to the commission, so let me provide one right now that can be moved or voted on if the commission's ready.
Yes, on that front, I assume mostly ready. I mean, certainly could wait till next minute if we want to, but if it seems like we feel like our questions have been answered sufficient for the town, then I think we can proceed.
If there's no other conditions aside from presentation of occupancy certificates, would there be any other conditions the planning commission would recommend with this to the town council for voting?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Barring none, I'll draft motion. I move that, or the draft motion is move to recommend approval of SCP number 2024-002 for religious assembly for the Haymarket Islamic Center with the following condition that the applicant provides a certificate of occupancy for the space to determine the maximum number of allowable parishioners in the space.
Okay, I'm going to proceed that. I move to recommend approval for SUP 2024-002 religious assembly use for Haymarket Islamic Center, subject to the condition of the presentation of the occupancy certificate to earn the maximum number of attendees. And do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Having the motion and a second, I believe it's now time, without any further, or is there any further discussion? And with that, then I will ask for a roll call, please.
Young,
Present.
Singla,
Present.
it's yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Baker,
Yay.
Capicello.
Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Question.
We have a letter of intent coming in on it.
Sure, you can go.
Yes, I guess we will proceed, come to order and proceed with the continuance of our agenda. The next section in the agenda is old business. Thomas, any updates on old business?
The main item of old business I have is we've continued discussion of SCP number 2024-001 for the Chick-fil-A drive-through expansion that was presented to the Planning Commission last summer. Main discussion points were still around landscaping, what kind of curb can be installed.
Sorry, pause a moment. Sorry, on to the, I'm sorry, please continue, Thomas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Discussion on that or that particular SCP application revolved mostly around what type of curb would be installed that would separate Virginia National Bank with Chick-fil-A. How's the landscaping going to be replaced? What does traffic flow look like? Those kinds of things. The applicant in the last night's town council meeting, after a 6 p.m. work session and 7 p.m. regular meeting, requested a continuance of the application for work session on March 31st and then a final vote in April's town council meeting. I presented as well, talking about the necessity of a 5-foot landscaping buffer. And with that, they want to redo the plan to see if it's still feasible. Other than that, I have no other old business for the commission.
Okay, thank you. And hearing no additional business, we'll jump on to new business. Thomas?
So far, main new business. Welcome to the new commissioners. It's good to see you all again as well, other commissioners, a bit of rearrangement, but town manager and zoning administrator Emily Crosby is back from maternity leave starting in February. I'll be coordinating with her on future zoning text amendments and also zoning map adjustments that we discussed previously and comprehensive plan adjustments and amendments that I'll eventually bring before the planning commission. Other than that, there's been no new rezoning cases, special use permit cases that have been brought before me yet that will go to the commission, but I'll definitely let you know once we have those. Other than that, no new business.
Certainly, and any update related to the comprehensive plan and moving forward on that item?
Definitely. We've worked out most of the budget at town council level. Once Emily gets back, town treasurer Roberto and I will have a conversation about that, and I'll make sure to update the commission in the next meeting on that.
Thank you. And hearing, if there isn't no other new business, we'll jump to the ARB updates, which I'm not sure who that's going to today, but
I'll take it as well. Main ARB updates, it was a couple of sign applications, a couple of fence applications. We eventually approved with conditions the elevations for a set of 11 townhomes that will be off of Blight Drive. It's replacing 3 single-family units that were built in the 1950s. Still working on that. Apart from that, those are the main applications. We also discussed a certificate of appropriateness application for demolition of 14920 Washington Street, the Lane Motors property. We'll be doing a site visit on that property with the applicant Wednesday, February 19th, and continuing the discussion of that application in that meeting. Other than that, no other ARB updates.
yes, one more.
So you do need to appoint a liaison to the ARB from your planning commission. Actually, Mr. Capicello has volunteered to be the ARB liaison, so we just need to make it official by a motion.
Okay.
So like, just say,
You move to appoint Mr. Capicello as the planning commission liaison to the architectural review board.
Holy, what?
Just say so moved.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor of Mr. Capacello being the planning commission liaison to the ARB, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go, Mr. Capacello.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. 2-1, right?
And thank you for that update there. And now I think we can, and that order of business, of course. And I think now we can turn to town council updates with our new town council member liaison, Mr. Baker, council member.
Thank you. So we had our first meeting last night, work session. I think Thomas touched on the Chick-fil-A subject. We do have, the council does have new members with new roles. I don't have all their names and what their new roles are. We are working on trying to get a kind of budget analyst to see for some upcoming projects, and see how this analyst can kind of show us how, when we spend on our budget, how it projects in the future of us paying for that, if it's cash or it's debt or something like that. So we will be working on that. Other than that, it was a good meeting.
And thank you for that update. So is there anything else before the commission we wish to discuss? Anything? Not there anything? Hearing none, do I therefore have a motion to adjourn?
I second.
What's the motion?
Second the motion.
No. First motion. You make the
Yeah,
motion.
okay.
motion.
I move the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none? Thank you.